Hello, everyone. Oh, sorry, Chris, you were going to say something.
Welcome back. Welcome
Welcome
back
back.
to another exciting episode of our podcast series. And I'm joined today with Essie.
Like always. And today we are going to talk about a subject that is becoming very popular these days. It's called self awareness. Apparently, it's a question that people often ask. And we thought maybe we could just give our little wisdom over here on the subject of what it is and why do actually people need to become more self-aware. If we're talking about happiness, this is probably the only way for anybody to grow their happiness intentionally by becoming self-aware. So in the episode yesterday, when we were talking about where do we begin with our personal development, we didn't really mention self-awareness as such. We only said that we need to take stock. And Chris was talking about the 7 areas of attention, or the 7 different aspects that we can kind of roughly break down our environment, our life into, and taking a very honest look into each and assessing it and realizing whether it works or not. So becoming self-aware in these 7 aspects is probably a very good idea for, with the end goal of creating a happier life. So what do you think, Chris? Shall we go through these areas?
Yeah, I mean, the self-awareness is a bit like taking stock. It's essentially accounting, accountability by yourself, for
Of
yourself,
yourself. Yeah.
for the things that you want to do in your life. So, it all comes. This all of this is integrated. Like you can't get away with any of it. It's like if you want to make changes, you've got to know what you want to make changes to from. You've got to put in the effort and the commitment and the desire to go through those things. You've got to set out a program of what those things are. You got to measure yourself. You got to know if you're not doing it, so you can put yourself back on track. All these things. They could be. You could call them goal setting and accountability, but at the end of the day, it all comes under the banner of self awareness. At the end of the day, um, what does someone mean by self aware? Well, like the mechanics of this is really quite interesting. It's like when you procrastinate, like we talked about it yesterday. Like my New Year's resolution, I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock every day and I'm going to go out for a run. Right? It sounds wonderful in the pub at 10 o'clock at night, after a nice meal in the warm with 5 pints of beer inside you, right? amongst a bunch of friends, to basically join in the swing of setting a New Year's resolution. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I've got really committed to it. And then it comes to the next day and it's raining and it's dark and
And
it's
you're
windy
hungover.
and it's cold and you're hungover and it's 5 a.m. and you're in bed. It's nice and warm. It's dry. it's and the reality kicks in. It's like, maybe I'll start tomorrow. Right. I've been there. I know it, right? Maybe I will start tomorrow, right? What's going on inside here is a battle between doing what you said you were going to do and the current conditions and how you feel, your emotions, everything else. And on one side, the ego is going, oh, they'll forgive you. It's just one day. It's not a big deal. The weather will be better tomorrow, and you'll be better equipped because you won't have had all those beers, and you know, like, and to just stay there is, you know, it's better for you because, you know, you need your rest because you had a late night last night and you need your rest, and you know, eat properly today, don't drink anything, and you'll all be good for tomorrow. And the other one's going, yeah, but I promised people, you know, like, I don't want to let myself down. Don't want to let myself down. And I want to be able to go to the pub and go, oh, did you go out last night? Yeah, I was there this morning. I was there 5 a.m., you know, all bravado and everything else. Right. There's this battle going on. And it happens in everything. It could be I'm on a diet, and, you know, shall I have the cake? Shall I have the cake? You know, and this is, yeah, every single one of these things is effectively a buy and sell agreement. Like, the ego is trying to get the other side to buy into what it's suggesting. And by the way, the ego is never good for you. So it's trying to convince you to do other than be the righteous, good, honest, authentic, integrity person, right? And it's doing battle with you constantly. Sometimes it's on your side, but 9 times out of 10,
Very often it's not.
it's not. And this is what we mean by being self-aware. It's being aware as an observer that this is going on. Now, it is going on, whether you're aware of it or not, right? It's going on. But when you start to become aware of it, you notice it's going on. And when you notice it's going on, you have some element of control over it. You can say, no, look, forget that ego. I know what you're playing at here. I know what your game is. The game's up. I'm in control here, right? And you can put it to bed. And the more often you put it to bed, then the easier it gets. But at the start, it's really hard because the ego's been running around, king of the jungle, right? Been like the weeds of as tall as you are, because while you're not self-aware, the ego is running amok, having a field day, loving it. And then suddenly it's like you've put a leash on it and it's starting to, oh, hang on a minute, what's going on here? You start to rein it in, right? Because rein it in you must, really, if you are going to take control and not just be like a rudderless ship in the middle of the ocean being buffeted around and just ending up wherever you end up. Right. So, yeah, that's kind of the default mode, is like your rudder's gone and you're just like being bashed around by the wind and the seas, and you never know where you're going to be, right? And so many of us start like this. But self-aware is like the moment you decide that actually I have some control, because at the end of the day, you know,
It's
like,
who is observing all of this.
yeah,
It's the observer. It's not the ego. The ego is the one who's just telling
yeah.
you that
So,
I'm not
but
gonna
when
do this
so,
because, and gives you excuses and all sorts.
yeah, so when you become aware, you notice you're doing it. So who's noticing the ego then? Who's noticing? That's the $1,000,000 question. And one, the subject of most religions ultimately is, you know, like, who is the master that raises the hand and moves the feet? Right? It's an interesting question. Who is that master, right? And this self-awareness is somehow tapping into the answer to that question, but there is no real answer to that question. But that is that's the but that's
We're going
probably,
back to the Zen.
yeah, probably there is no answer to that question. It's just an acceptance that it is. So, you know, like, so this self-awareness is when you decide that you're going to listen in on these things that are going on in your head and try and understand what the ego's motive is. Right? This is an interesting question. What is the motive of, and most of the time,
Go on, sorry.
is to keep you safe, in the ego's opinion, right? In the
Yeah.
ego's opinion. And, you know, it's not some random thing. You've built this ego, by the way. It's not like it's just sitting there and it's just happened and it's there and it's like, oh, I don't. Now, this thing knows you inside out, right? It knows everything there is to know. No point in trying to hide from it, because it knows, right?
It's the only way is to calm it down and to tell it with through self-awareness is that thank you for controlling my life so far. You've done a great job. I'm still alive. Now I'm going to take care of this particular situation myself. Thank you very much for making me aware of your opinion. And I'm going to still do this way because I think it's better now for me. And I'm going to look after myself in this particular instance. So I don't need you to keep me safe.
Yeah, or attempt to. Yeah, and this self-awareness, it's it you know, we get involved in all of these situations where we procrastinate, and we're fiddling around in our head about what we're going to do, what we're going to do, what we're going to do. And the thing is, if you find yourself in that spot, is to start switching on the button, which is self-awareness, right? Start trying to work it out, because most of the things that we end up end up feeling ashamed of, or guilty, or we don't like ourselves, or most of these things are when we've basically acquiesced and given the responsibility for taking care of it to this ego, right?
Mm.
And we would never ordinarily, right, hand over the reins to this ego clown that seems to have been like causing all these problems, because it has caused all of your problems basically, probably. And you blame it on blames another one, blame it on somebody else. That's the ego. Oh, it's not us, not us. Hey, look, have some self-respect. It's not us, this is that person's fault.
And guess what? When you catch yourself doing that, this is because the ego is confusing you, protecting you, so you don't get hurt by accepting, like seeing it in yourself that you're doing it to others. And the worst, you're doing it to yourself.
Hmm. So
But it
anyway,
can't, it tricks you to believe that no, 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 it's the other person's fault. And I'm creating this program at the moment, and one of my quotes was there, one of my writing paragraphs was, we need to be actually very, very happy when we feel judged by someone, because this gives you the opportunity to actually see what part of yourself you don't accept. Where is the ego trying to hide this part of yourself that you think is not acceptable, the ego thinks is not acceptable, or it's painful, or it's hurt, or it's something, and this and that. And actually, by being judged by someone, or we judge someone else outside of us, is a good opportunity to learn about us, to be self-aware.
yeah, why am I doing it?
Why am I doing that? And
Why am I
why?
comparing? Why am I criticizing? Criticism is, where someone calls you out about something. If it's really, really irritating you, this thing,
Mhm.
then it needs investigative work, because why is it hurting you then? Why is that's not right? Is it unfair? Is it that you don't consider yourself this and they do, and it bothers you because there is still an
Yeah,
issue?
if there is somebody, and I used to have this up until recently, that every time I see this person's post on Facebook, I'll be just going into like, I don't like it. Oh, well, who does she think she is?
Hmm.
And I had to dig and find out who, why, what. She's just posting. Why
And
am I
more
being triggered?
importantly, so underneath that, how come she's so successful doing these things that I don't like doing?
And probably that's what it was.
Yeah,
Mm.
like I'm not going to do that, and it irritates you because people fall for her tricks, and they're not falling for your tricks.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
I'm
like, so
tricking
she's got all the
myself
money
into.
and you haven't got any of the money, and it's like, why is this issue? So like, and then we can talk about this on another video, which is how do you want to be in the world? Like, it's a huge question, but it doesn't mean who do you want other people to see you as. This is what do you hold dear and what do you want to be. Now the people that like what you want to be and are will probably come and say hello. The ones that don't like it won't, and it doesn't matter, does it? You can't please everybody all of the time. Like you can't please all of the people all of the time. You can't please most of them any of the time, to be honest. So you just have to please yourself at the end of the day, because that's what constitutes a happy life, not other people's viewpoints. So anyway, um, self-awareness is such an important thing in our ability to pick up on it and practice resolving these things. And let's go through this
Yeah.
list
So
banner list. So,
these different aspects. So we start with health.
well,
How
yeah,
does your body feel? You can very easily wake up in the morning and, like this morning, I was stretching in my bed and I was noticing my muscles and I was noticing how flexible I am, or if I'm not, on what's going on with that. And Chris, you do yoga every morning.
yeah. I mean, so on a very basic level, the question, how am I? Like I do yoga, and during that process of doing yoga, like today I've got some issue with my shoulder here. I don't know why it's kind of spreading about a little bit, but I don't know where but anyway, it might be because the room's cold, who knows. But basically I have then an opportunity to assess my physicality, and then if it's pretty much the same as it was yesterday, or yeah, some days my balance is way better than other days. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. It's for me to ponder, isn't it? This is self-awareness, is to ponder what that means. It might mean nothing. It
Mm.
might just mean, I don't know, yesterday things happened and they've resulted in me having better balance. I don't know. Might have a good night's sleep. Might have had no sleep and consequently my balance is to pieces, right? But that's the first thing, is physicality. But then the second thing is, well, what do I want my health to be and why?
And why? And if you're not totally pleased with how it is, what am I going to do about that?
Yeah, but why is that? So, for example, let's say someone is overweight, right? Very normal condition these days. Someone's overweight. How is that causing an issue?
Mm.
Is it because actually heart rate's up? It's difficult to do things. Can't fit in a single seat on an airplane. Stuff like this, which is actually causing me difficulties, like, and I don't like it because it wasn't like that before and now it is. That might be a very simple thing, or it might be that other people sneer at me, other people look at me funnily, other people presume I can't do things like run because I'm overweight, but they make allowances for my size. I don't
Mm.
look good in dresses or suits. I don't look good according to me because I see all these advertisements of size zero models, and I don't look like that. I may be scuppering my chances to meet someone. It could be any number. It means I have difficulty picking food on a menu because I go in there and people expect me to eat the whole menu, not just the meal that I'm ordering. It's like there's so many things sociologically wrapped up in this overweight issue that we self basically sabotage ourselves, and yet we haven't fixed it, have we? Society in general has caused an issue here, and it's getting worse, and people don't seem to be able to, like the most popular things you can find, how to diet, or like like the magic diet, another this diet and you'll never need another diet in your life,
Well, the
like
magic pill, yeah,
yeah,
the magic silver bullet for everything.
yeah, it's and so health encompasses everything, including mental health, the way we talk to ourselves, the self-talk, self-awareness included in that. and your physical makeup and your response to illness and all of those things. It's all
How quickly you recover after.
you could put cooking in this, because what you eat is really important. Like, I think
Yeah,
people
well, that's what we say. We are separating them into 7 different compartments, but they're all incorporated and kind of feed into each other, and they can't be separated really.
well, all
Because
those things
one depends on the other and the other way around.
I think all those things come into health. Like, are you maintaining your, are you keeping fit? Are you using your body? The human body wasn't designed to sit on a chair all day, watch TV and eat pizza. It wasn't designed for that. I don't know what kind of animal would be designed for that kind of lifestyle, but it's not a human being.
No.
So you have to look at everything.
Right.
Otherwise,
So that's the health. And you mentioned already about the beliefs and the things that are going on in your head. What are you thinking on a regular basis? Why, if you start on a diet, why do you not follow it through? Or if you want to start exercising and you do the first few training sessions and then you say, okay, that's enough now, I've had enough, that's it, I'm done with that. And all sorts of other beliefs, and it all seems to come down to, do I love myself or not?
well, I think with mindset, the first base is to be able to say, the reason I am where I am is because of all the choices I've made in the past.
Yeah,
That's the
taking
first.
responsibility for your.
Yeah, you can't move off this until you can say that with belief, because it starts with acceptance of the fact that you may have made loads of mistakes in the past, but don't run away from them. The fact is, they are issues that now require your attention. The first job is to identify them, which is a good thing, right?
That's the
It's not.
self-awareness. Yeah,
It's
being
yeah,
aware of what's happened.
exactly. And I think mindset is like, if you can't accept that where you are is a result of all the decisions you've made in the past, then I think you've got to go back and work on that and understand it, because there is no question. Like, it's no question. You might say, oh no, hang on a minute. No, hang on. I lost my job and that was because the governor sacked me. Yeah, but why did he sack you? Did he not? Did he sack everybody then? No, he only sacked me. Okay, so why you? Now, if you can't say that, well, because I don't do as much work as the others, right? Is that because they're somehow fitter, cleverer, more intelligent? Yeah, they've got 4 hands. What's the problem here? Well, the problem is I get in a bit later than they do, and I go a bit earlier, and I have a long lunch, and I don't and basically, I was identified as the weaker link. So whose fault's that? Yeah.
But then you said, he's holding on to this anger and grudges, and that takes me to emotions. What kind of emotional setup is your predominant state of being? Are you predominantly living in the past and being angry about it and resentful of what happened because it's someone else's choice and someone else's fault? I'm being judgmental in that way. And we said about judgmental earlier, how actually we're creating these emotions because the ego says this and this, and we believe it and we get upset. And yeah.
There are some, all emotions can be evoked, like sadness at a wedding, at a funeral, not a wedding, it might be a wedding, but a funeral, right, is is an
It's good. It's
it's an
absolutely
well,
good.
it,
Yeah.
it's necessary, isn't it? Sadness, but at times it's absolutely necessary for us to deal with things. Anger is necessary at some point for us to get over something, And like, so you can't, joy is, joy and happiness, these are all emotions, and we've got stacks of them, loads of them, more than I can remember, but they're not things to necessarily depress. That's what depressive drugs do. The things serotonin and melatonin, where they contract the capability to produce these things to lessen the impact of emotions and how they might affect our day-to-day lives. Right? This is not the answer. The answer is to learn how to deal with those emotions. So, like, I think the key on this really, and I'm going back to some Zen stuff here, is the key is, like, if you're sitting in the middle of the circle, which is your life, and the circle goes around you, and there's what you label as good and difficult, on the way down, on the way up times, like in a circle. Ultimately, all there is are just things that happen. No one's out there going, right, okay, let's make Chris's life a bit tough this year. Let's give him a hard time. No, let's make this shit happen and that happen and that happen. He'll feel really bad about that, and he'll have a rubbish life. Great stuff. Then we can move on in 24. Right? No one's there doing that, right? They're not, right? So what's happening is I'm attaching the importance, positive or negative, good or bad, I'm attaching my emotional context to the events that take place. And I think when it comes to emotions, we have to we have to learn how to manage them such that we're not taken to extreme highs and extreme lows, but we are a very balanced, stable individual who can handle the difficult things and enjoy the good things. And the things that where life seems to be hitting a purple patch, and it's like we're
Yeah.
doing really good, and then sometimes it gets well choppy, and we have to make, like, we've got no money. It's like, oh, right, well, no money is not a problem. It's just treat it as a game. How can I survive
Yes, but
this?
then there is the other option where people suppress these emotions because somehow they think they're too scary or too, they can't cope. So suppressing is the other way of coping. It's a coping mechanism, as well as the hyper this and hyper and lower down. It's
Yeah, that can lead to illness
so
because you're not allowing
in both cases, we need to be aware of what's causing these emotions, what's triggering us,
Mm.
and work on that perception of why there is this trigger. And the more we accept ourselves and the more we love ourselves, the less these emotions will be taking us for a rocky ride, and the more stable and peaceful our state will be.
Yeah, I mean, like we say, there's nothing good or bad or evil, whatever. There's nothing. Essentially, we have to look. If something bad happens, like I go outside and my tire's flat, like what do I do? Cut off a tree branch and start whacking the car. You always letting me down, you. Right. Or do I empty the boot, which is
Yeah,
way too.
but you don't beat yourself up either, because that's just as bad. Oh, you stupid car! Oh, you stupid woman! Why didn't you do this before?
Yeah, why didn't I sell the car? And then I have to get the jack out of the boot, and I just take my time and I jack the car up, and I change the wheel, put on the skinny one, and take the other one. It cost me a few quid for sure, and bring it back and put it on. Right? Okay, I don't want to be changing a tire, right? But by the same token, the tire is changing. Right? It's like there's what use is it to worry or be angry in
Well, you
the
can be angry for 2 minutes, let it all out, because
yeah,
otherwise, if you're suppressed, if you're feeling angry and you're suppressing it, is worse, because it festers and becomes worse. The more you suppress it, the worse it gets.
mm,
But you can be just like, ah, that's it. Now I'm calm. I'm gonna go and fix the car tire.
whichever way you deal with it. What I'm saying is that being self-aware of why your emotions are causing such a major impact on your life is really quite important, because
Mm,
it does affect everything.
the
Like
rest.
people out there say, we are our emotions. Well, we're not really our emotions. We might be if we allow them ourselves to be, but actually we can be apart from our emotions when we
Well,
understand them.
emotions are actually, and that was very shocking when I understood this. Oh wow, an emotion is a little peptide, which is a protein, is a type of protein that goes and does something to your cells. That's all emotions is.
Mm.
It might not be just the one peptide, but a few. And they just go around the body, and if you don't express them, they get lodged here and there. And if it was a powerful emotion, maybe more of them get locked in a particular place, in an organ, in a joint, in I don't know, wherever. So yeah, let them go. They need to flow, come and go. And the more you clear them, and the triggers that causes them, the less they're gonna impact your day-to-day life. So next one is money. This is the one I'm working on.
Well, we all have a relationship with money, whether we love it, loathe it, want it, don't want it, like have enough of
Yeah.
it, don't have enough of it. And it's emotive, like people society has made money the most important thing in our lives, and it isn't, but they've dressed it up as being, because everything is measured by your money or your possessions, and you're now valued what you have as opposed to who you are. And it's a sad state of affairs. However, it is what it is, and we are where we are. People will compare, measure you, and then you have to deal with that based on what you think they're saying is right or wrong or not, or just a viewpoint that you can dismiss. And it depends on whether you're basically fulfilling what you think your life is around, as opposed to being a puppet with a mask for the benefit of others. So money is crucial. It's crucial for you because it's crucial in this list, right? Crucial because whether you like it or not, society is waving it about as the most important thing. And that's the part you have to deal with. Because if you feel bad that you don't have any money and people point it out to you, then that's a hornet's nest. That's
Yeah.
terrible. So anyway, that's enough.
That's the one to be thinking about. And then relationships with other people, and that's here family, friends, your boss, your business, your every human who you engage with.
Yeah.
Not the energy billing companies because they're dead.
So what is self-awareness in relation to relationships? It's a really tricky one.
This is a huge one, actually. This one, sorry to start this one like that, but this one, we need people to make us aware of our ego. We need others to be like a mirror to who we are. And without other people and their reflection of who we are, we can't grow as humans. That's my thing into this. So whenever somebody is making you angry, and I used to say this when I was at school until I realized that it's wrong. You're making me angry. Stop behaving like that, or stop disrupting your friends and get on with it because you're making me angry. You're disrupting the other children. Nobody's making me angry but me.
Mm.
So if I'm getting angry at a little kid who's having fun, why am I getting angry? Oh, maybe because I can't be having fun like they are, and I'm seeing this, and I'm kind of repressing this part of me that wants to have fun and wants to be free and wants to be enjoying their life. And what I'm doing, I'm getting angry at the little kid who's having fun. How dare you have fun?
I mean, there's time and
I'm
place.
not allowed to have fun.
There's a time and place to have fun, and his fun is at the expense of everybody else not learning anything. So,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
for a school environment, it's it's a little bit justifiable, although there are ways. So I shouldn't be getting angry at that. It's my anger, not somebody else's behavior that's causing me to be angry. It's me getting angry because I'm seeing something and it's triggering these emotions and thoughts, and the ego starts to protect. Like, oh, you're angry because they are doing this. Look, it's none
Nice
of your
blaming
fault,
and
it's
his
them.
mindset. Yeah. I mean, there's a great saying which is, we're all walking each other home, right? Because the destination is death here, right? And I don't want to be a dismal despot. It's like, it's no point in arguing otherwise. It's true. It's like everyone that's been born before us has ended up that way. It's highly probable that we will go that way too, right? Now, it's like, well, our task in this life, if we have any task, is to better understand ourselves and to contribute more to those people that are around us, whether that be family, friends, partners, acquaintances, people we meet in the street, networking, part of the community. Doesn't matter who they are. It's to add value, really, because there's nothing else we can do, is there? Like, we can't take any money with us. If we can't improve someone's life a little bit somehow while we're in connection with them, then I like to think that people I meet, I leave them a little bit better off than when I met them. A little bit,
before you met them.
yeah, before I met them, yeah. So like this is, and relationships are so tricky. But the key in this, in terms of self-awareness, is to try and understand how your participation in any given situation has been, and to try and think about ways you could have improved it, like be the better version of yourself. Because like, let's just say I'm having an argument with you. There's two emotions involved in this, your emotion and my emotion, right? And then there's both of our self-awareness and things looking in, right? And you got the egos battling away, and at the end of the day, all wars are from the ego, right? I'm not letting them do that, and I'm not letting them do that, right? So it's egos doing battle, right? In underneath all that are two kids, really, right? If you look at yourself as a child, right? This is playground stuff being acted out as adults, right? Mine's bigger than yours. That's mine, not yours. Right? It's playground
Give me
stuff.
the dolls, I'll give you the toy, the
Yeah,
blocks.
it's like, it's kids with like gravitas, with ego,
with big guns.
with popularity, with all this other junk thrown in, right, to justify why we're allowed to do this and act like this. And at the end of the day, the emotion, the relationship bit is just like, what's really going on here? What underneath? What's really going on? And the answer is ego. Yeah, I don't like that person getting one up on me, so I'm going to make it tough for them. I'm not going to go to their thing because they never came to my thing. Like, seriously, is this what we are? This childish behaviour. And when you start to be self-aware, you start reading, what on earth have I been doing?
Well, we need to remember we're compassionate to ourselves. So we,
Yeah,
we
but
didn't
like,
know
yeah,
any better, but now we do.
how we do. When you know this, you start thinking to yourself, God, I need bending over a chair and giving a good hiding because I've been acting like a muppet.
Yeah, so the next one, spirituality. And we've been mentioning this all the time, but in all our conversations, this pops up.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
really, it's about being kind, compassionate, um, doing the right thing, um, looking after other people's property and stuff, and looking after basic common law, really, which is just living in harmony with
With
everything else
everything.
around me. And I think when it comes down to, when you work on this stuff, you realize that we're not here forever. We're here for a speck of time. In reality, this is like the macro, much bigger picture. I'm a nobody at all in the big scheme of things. Right
Mm,
now, this moment, we all think we're the most important thing, right? In a micro scale, because everything that we do affects us. But we have both. We are, as I say, we are simultaneously the most important and most irrelevant thing in the universe at the same time. And if you can get your head around that, you can understand that it puts perspective on everything, doesn't it? On
mm.
on every grudge and like and
Th-
remorse and
Yeah, this comes with age though, because young people are less likely to understand this if they are not, if they haven't witnessed any more of a life-threatening or life-changing event. They don't seem to be quite so ready to comprehend this, because all they're seeing everywhere is the flashiness of the 3D money world that is uh, taking their attention over here, over there, and do this and be successful over here and be successful over there and make money, and all of
yeah.
this is distraction.
I mean, what when you say, what's the point in doing that? Could be being kind to someone. What's the point in doing that when I don't get paid for it?
Yeah, why are you, mom, doing this, um, giving these oils to people when, or giving them aroma touch technique when they're not paying you? Because they're my friends. Yeah, but these
Contribution.
oils are expensive. Well, so what? They're my friends.
And you do
And
that.
then eventually, a few years later, sorry to interrupt, Chris, and eventually, a few years later, I get invited to a special party. Why? Because I had this special relationship with these people,
Because
because
you
I
were
was
kind.
giving, being kind, and giving when I wasn't even thinking about requesting anything in return.
Well, the thing is that this spirituality is being kind, doing things for others without expecting anything in return, unconditional love. Right.
Right.
This is the heart and the center of it, is not to have any agenda attached to your contribution. It's not like I'm not here to do you a favor expecting a favor back. I'm here doing you a favor so that
Full
you'll
stop.
pass it on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you develop the idea of doing a favor for someone else without expecting it. And if that passed around the world, we wouldn't be in the crap that we're in now.
But also there is a little nuance about this. So you're giving favors not because you want to look in their eyes like you're some kind of a special knight in a shining armor or a special fairy lady who come and helps. Not because you are craving the attention, not because it's feeding your ego again, but just because you want to do it, that's it.
Yeah.
Without any reason
And the
other
best,
than being nice.
and this is where charity started. It wasn't, I'm going to contribute, where are you going to blazon my logo and where am I going to get exposure and how am I going to make some money off the back of my absolutely amazing contribution. It's like contribute without them even knowing you've contributed, such that they benefit, but there's no obligation to do anything for anybody else.
Yeah.
Perhaps the trouble is it's all been corrupted.
It's
So
the agenda that is like, there's always an agenda when somebody's being nice, and now people are starting to learn that if somebody is being nice to them, there must be some agenda behind that.
well, yeah, I have it all the time. A link for growth. It's like, so hang on a minute, you arrange all these meetings and what's in it for you? Nothing really. Just I like going to the meetings and having conversations with people. Yeah, but like, where's the chankwa chankwa? Where's the money gig?
When are you gonna ask me for money? I'm
What
on
are,
a
what are you
lookout here.
what are you talking about? The money gig? There's no money gig here. Read
Right.
it.
So we said about daily actions already before, but this is more about how do you spend most of your day? Like, do you go to a job that you hate? If you don't like that job, maybe you can change it, or maybe you can start your own business. Or if you say you're gonna go to the gym but you don't, that's again considered daily actions. What do you do instead? What do you prefer? Where is your attention during the day, and why? Why is your attention where it is on what activities? In my case, it was a job, and I was getting more and more miserable with it. And the reason I stayed in it was because I was scared. I had this fear of what am I going to do? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay my rent? And I stay in it for a very long time just because of that. And it did cost me, actually, now looking back at it, it was okay, there was a salary, but it hardly covered all my expenses anyway. It was it was really the fear that was keeping me there instead of the real looking at the numbers and actually taking proper stock and taking the measures and changing it, or maybe starting something else like I did eventually. But for many years I was continuing doing this job for fear.
It's so often the case. And like when you look through all of these things and you start to like look at your life, because that's what your life consists of, these things, is to say, is this feeding my soul? Is what I'm doing feeding my soul, or is it feeding
There you go.
the other side? Like feeding further distress and taking me away from perhaps the happiness that I crave or seek into a different direction. And sometimes you need to go it's almost like a short deviation to something I dislike in order to come back to somewhere I do like, and it's like an acceptable compromise for the time being, but it's like limited time, limited, and I'm just going to get in and out quick. So it's not saying you can't, there are no, this is your life. You can do what you like, the flexibility, but at the end of the day, the daily actions, what you do with one thing, you do with everything. And if you start to build better habits along these lines, you start to become self-aware, you get practiced at it, then things change. Like things do change. They must do. They can't stay the same, can they?
No.
That's not an acceptable thing, because nothing stays the same. It's just, does it change in the way you prefer or not? So anyway.
So these were our points and ideas, and maybe what do we call these, suggestions for reflection. If they resonate with you, we would really like to hear what you find out about yourself. Have you been practicing self-awareness for a while now, or have you never heard of it and this sounds fascinating or scary, or I don't know. So we would really like to read your comments. And if you found this information useful, you might want to check out different other videos. We had one yesterday on personal development. We have one taking responsibility and all sorts of topics as we awaken our own happiness and share our thoughts and discoveries and our stories about it. So do share, do subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk another episode tomorrow. We're not sure what about yet, but it will be something along these lines about making ourselves. How do we make ourselves happier on this planet during our life here? I just noticed my computer is on. I hope it wasn't going all the time to make noise.
Right.
Right.
Bye for now, and see you next
Bye-bye.
time. Bye.